Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about rep ranges, the search for magical rep ranges. Before I get into this topic, if you guys need coaching, I would love to help. Coaching is what I do for a living. I'm not a check-in once a week spreadsheet type of coach. I'm with you every single day. We talk every day, make adjustments, and we get a lot done. All right, let's talk about rep ranges. There's been some discussion lately about the value of working within the 5 to 10 rep range. Classically, when you look at the science, it basically says you can work within 5 to 30 reps, and anything in this range is really going to work out okay for you. I've been around lifting for 40 years, and you see different fads come and go when it comes to rep ranges. This is the magical rep range. That is the magical rep range. This is the best range for all exercises, etc. One of the best things my mentor did way back in 1986 was he focused me on a wide variety of rep ranges. He would tell me to go in each day for a specific muscle group or go in each week for a specific muscle group and focus on doing 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 reps and for those big compound lifts, and then to move on to the next tier of exercises like dumbbell bench or machine chest press or whatever, and basically work within the 8 to 12 rep range. And then he would have me do something like an isolation exercise or a finisher where we'd work more in the 12 to 15. Now, this approach certainly isn't magical, but it did speak to the fact that the demands of every exercise are a little bit different. And we should kind of mix things up a little bit, get different forms of stimulus, different exercise types, and not be afraid to work within different rep ranges. So we're going to dive into things here. I want to talk about 5 major points you should consider when we are talking about rep ranges. Now, the biggest thing is point number 1, there are no magical ranges. Now, you're going to find guys that are going to follow the social media influencers that'll say, you have to stick to this rep range, you have to stick to that rep range, and they'll develop the little cult-like following. And when you say, it's really more about reasonable rep ranges, let's just look at the history of lifting, we can figure this out, right? But a lot of times you'll see these fads come, you'll get a strong base of cult-like followers, and they will attack you over talking about just being reasonable. That's something we have to be really, really careful about and careful to avoid. There are no magical rep ranges. There are only reasonable rep ranges. There are no one-size-fits-all magical rep range for every exercise that is better than another. So when you are thinking about rep ranges for your training or for specific exercises, think reasonable. What's the history of bodybuilding look like? Is this a reasonable rep range when it comes to science? If it is, if it works for you on that exercise, if it's reasonable for you on that exercise, you're good to go. Think reasonable rather than fads. And when you see an influencer that has a strong opinion about a specific rep range, understand that it's a long journey and there are no magical rep ranges. Number 2, and this is a big point, and you will see a lot of fitness influencers and fitness coaches and fitness personalities completely miss this point, and it is a big one, and I want you to remember it. The demands of every exercise are different. Every exercise feels different. Every exercise feels different on the body. It feels different in the gym. No exercise will feel the same for you and the next guy. So not only are the demands of each exercise different, but you might like 6 reps on Pendlay rows. The next guy might like 12 rep sets. Who knows? Why? Who cares? It doesn't really matter. Just remember, the point is to train hard. No single rep range will work for every exercise. We can't just say 5 rep sets are magic and then apply them to every exercise. Training is very nuanced, and we can't simply assign one rep range for every exercise. If I did 5 rep sets on bicep curls, they would absolutely just tear up and feel uncomfortable for me in the biceps tendon. Lower rep work feels good for me on deadlifts, But on bench press, I like a little bit higher rep work. Lower rep work doesn't beat me up on the bench press, but there are just simply some exercises where if I focused on low rep intense work, it would beat up my body. So remember, when you have an influencer or fitness coach saying one rep range to rule them all, remember the demands of every exercise are different. All right, number 3, evolution is king. Remember this. Training evolution is king. Where you start with your rep range doesn't really matter. If you don't like pendlay rows at 6 reps and 7 reps feels better, move to that rep range. It's reasonable. Does it have to make sense to someone else? Hell no. Don't hesitate to adjust your rep ranges based on feel as long as the overall rep range is reasonable. Like I said, your target rep range doesn't need to make sense to anybody else as long as it is conventional and your overall weekly training volume and approach remains reasonable. All right, point number 4, we have to consider muscle fatigue versus elevated heart rate. There are some exercises where just holding the weight off the ground for a period of time, even if you didn't do any reps, is going to cause your heart rate to elevate. Like if you just unracked a squat and you never did 1 rep, just holding that weight on your back would drive your heart rate up and up and up. Same thing with a static hold. If you were just holding a barbell in front of you and not doing any shrug reps or Romanian deadlift reps, your heart rate would slowly go up. There are some exercises that really spike our heart rate, and we need to be aware of this. It's not something that is generally super critical, but you can adjust your rep range to accommodate this. Maybe move to a little bit lower end for that exercise so you're picking up more muscle fatigue, fewer grinders, fewer issues with an elevated heart rate, or fewer cardiovascular stressors. Our primary goal during a set is to achieve muscle fatigue. However, some exercises can elevate your heart rate, making it harder to continue the set. When you're in the middle of those types of sets, you can rest just a little bit longer between reps. We're not talking seconds and seconds and seconds, but if you need to catch your breath and your sanity for just a second, it's okay in between reps on sets like that. In these cases, you may need to adjust your rep ranges to prioritize muscle fatigue while slightly reducing cardiovascular demands. And finally, point number 5, focus on hard training. Please focus on hard training. Don't get caught up in the cults or the fads. Instead of getting caught up in endless debates about rep ranges, focus on using a range that allows you to maximize the coming set. The real goal is to train hard, to prioritize progressive overload, and to stay consistent with your lifting and nutrition. In the long run, trying to micromanage rep ranges is a huge waste of time. There's going to be somebody that's going to comment and try to come after me. But look, no one over the course of 10 or 15 years is using the exact same rep range for an exercise. Let's be reasonable. Let's use some common sense here. Your rep ranges are going to vary a little bit over the years. It doesn't matter. There's no need to try to micromanage or super refine your rep ranges. As long as it's conventional and reasonable, you will be fine. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.